in office. And we want to delve into this and ask the question, why now? What, of course, has driven this and what we can expect going forward. And to bring us insights into that conversation, here in studio with me, Nigol Galshani, esteemed political writer here at The Standard. Karibu sana.
Asante. Asante.
Now, of course, many people's minds, of course, having digested the fact that the president has, so to say, acceded to the demands that have been made by the Gen Z, as we say, and many other people, about the competency of his cabinet. Lots, of course, having been said around that. We've seen that now that they have been, so to say, fired. Many people ask, what can we expect next? And what should we be looking forward to?
I think the president said it yesterday that the Kenyans should expect a broad-based political arrangement. He actually named it broad-based government.
Yes.
Now, broad-based government means that he is actually going to consult with other political formations. And you know, when he talks about political formations, he is precisely talking about the opposition.
So you're saying Nusumkate?
The Nusumkate.
But we already saw sentiment. People expressed vehemently saying they don't want a Nusumkate government. Raila Odinga having come out to say that he has heeded that advice. So what happens now?
Raila is a politician, as he has always been. So he was probably trying to quell the noise from his supporters. But our sources within government are telling us that the country should actually expect cabinet nominees by Tuesday next week. That means that there has been talks and arrangements on who is going to get what. And so when the president said that he's going to ensure that we have a broad-based government, I want to imagine that this is a government that will have nominees from the civil rights groups or the activists, the religious groups, and other. Because when he talks about political formations, he definitely is not talking about the political parties that are affiliated to Kenya Kwanza. So it remains to be seen as to what opposition chief Raila Odinga will do, because he is in record saying that he is not going to join handshake. But what if the government takes professionals from the Azimio or the opposition strongholds? I don't know whether those people will also be regarded as members of Azimio.
Now, the question then in many people's minds is that this is a big, so to say, constitutional moment. They say that you don't let a crisis go to waste. Do you think that by doing that, the president will then be dropping the ball again, playing into the hands of the people who have been protesting? Because people want to see broad-based changes. They want to see changes that will make a difference and convince the people who have been protesting that he is actually listening to them. Do you think this kind of government will be the correct answer?
I do not think so, because as one of the speakers said yesterday, that Kenyans, and especially our youths who are known as Gen Z, they did not go to the streets because they wanted a broad-based government. The protesters, the Gen Zs, wanted accountability. They wanted people who are not displaying flamboyance, appearance, and they also wanted competent leaders. So, was it a political question? The answer is no. It was an issue of incompetency. It was an issue of corruption. It was an issue of people trying to vomit on the shoes of the hungry Kenyans, and people actually expect issues to do with the fight against, enhanced fight against corruption. They want accountability. So they want integrity. So how the president is actually understanding that it is a question of political arrangements is a matter that raises whether some questions on whether he is able to reason on what the Gen Zs want.
So if this then was up to Ndungu Gashane, if we said that the president was sitting in a corner watching you today, and he was looking for answers on what he needs to do then to get this moving in the right direction, what would you say?
Number one, if I were to advise the president, I would tell him that Kenyans want you to fight corruption. They want the big fish.
What does that look like?
They want people with graft cases, and they are there. We heard the anti-graft body saying that they are big fishes, they are governors, they are cabinet secretaries who have soiled names, who have actually immersed their hearts into dirty deals. For the president to get the trust from Kenyans, because what the president tracks as at now is what we call the trust deficit.
But the judiciary is an independent body that the president
the president, the goodwill. I understand that judiciary is an independent institution, but what lacks in the fight against graft is the political goodwill. And who is there to show the political goodwill? It is the president. Because if he rates, if we hear that the people, even within government, because there's something that has been happening, Mr. Wakaba. In the last regime, I don't know whether you have observed that there was a pattern. Only those people who are supporting the president now, who was then the deputy president,
or getting arrested.
Those were the ones, you remember Kamata Fridays. Now when it comes to Ruto's regime, we are hearing of people.
In fact, we used to say Mosho Moja.
Yes. But now the people who are now fighting it rough are the people who are not in the government. So for the president to be seen as if he's working, he needs to let the investigative agencies work independently without weaponizing state agencies. Because we have heard the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, who we understand is not in so good working relationship with his boss, saying that some of his allies are being targeted. What do you understand by that?
Yes.
So it means that Kenyans want to see a multifaceted approach in the fight against corruption. You remember when the president said that in his administration he would not condone extrajudicial killings. We have had claims without evidence that state agencies are in kidnapping spree. So all what people want, they want accountability.
So you were going down a list. You said one.
Yes.
That was corruption.
So that is corruption.
Accountability.
Yes. Number two, let us have competence-based cabinet working in this administration. It is not an issue of awarding cronies. It is not an issue of awarding political friends.
So do you think there were people in that cabinet who were competent? Were there ministers, were there CSS?
Based on the work that actually they delivered, I believe there were some people who were competent.
Yes.
But when one sack of potato...
Do you want to give examples?
Yeah, for example, I can say that the interior CS, to be sincere, if you look at the issues that have been happening in the Rift Valley, he was able to handle that issue very well. So for him, I would say that he was competent. Kithure Kindiki, yes. Yes.
Someone else?
Someone else, I think Eden Duwari also tried.
Yes.
Only that
the trade minister.
Who was the trade minister?
Rebecca Miano.
Okay, we have not seen her so much. But for Eden Duwari, in terms of defense, were it not for the issue of deployment of military, we would also that he was also a bit competent.
So your take is that then there were people who have been delivering and delivering well.
Yes.
And would be happy that you would be happy if they were to come back in that cabinet.
Well, I would not root for them.
Yes.
What I'm saying, let us have a cabinet that is not politically connected with the president.
So my second then take on that is when these cabinet secretaries came into the office, they had performance contracts.
Yes.
That then would be a good mechanism for checking whether they actually delivered or not, right?
That is true. And you remember even August last year, you signed a performance contract.
Yes.
But what then happens when it comes, you see the sovereignty of the people. Now, this is not to say that you delivered, you are going to say, you are safe. Yes. When it comes to the issue of people saying that we don't want to come, I think the president was pressurized by the Gen Zs to send them home. And if I were the president, even if there are some leaders who I presume that had delivered, I would not have them back because let us have professionals running the cabinet.
Okay.
Yes.
So your list was two things, or was there a third?
Or the things the president should do?
Yes.
Well, those two issues, the fight against corruption and the issue of competence.
Yes.
Number three, let him not be so over promising to people. Let him reduce the talking and walk the talk. Those three things.
Then moving now ahead of that, A lot of people would say that the president had lost focus.
Yes.
That he was traveling a lot.
Yes.
That he was working on a political and advocacy agenda on climate and other things to build his profile internationally.
Yes.
And losing sight of the promises made locally to the people. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. That's why I'm saying the president should reduce talking and he should do the walking now.
Yes.
Because when he talks about those travels,
yes.
At one time we had a story in the print, the Standard newspaper, saying that he's a frying president. But what is the investment, the return on investment on these so many travels? So that's what I'm saying. The president, number one, should reduce talking. He should reduce over-promising.
Yes.
Let him now focus on service delivery other than empty rhetoric.
So I think that the president has made a major aspect of his agenda around these protests.
Yes.
Has been reducing expenditure and rationalizing government spending. So being seen to spend less, because of course we can't afford the lifestyle that our leaders have been spending. Yes. Where do you think these cuts should come from? What do we need to see to start trusting that this is actually happening? And then, of course, what areas can we then prioritize to say these areas should not be touched? Number one,
the Constitution gives the president a leeway to select his cabinet nominees between 14 to 22.
Yes.
In the proposed, in the cabinet that he will actually announce, one thing must be for sure. Yes. He must at least go to the lower side of the Constitution, because on the lower side it is 14. So on the upper side is 22. Yes. So if he, for example, selects 14 or 15, we actually start seeing, oh, this man means business. Yes. That is number one. Number two, we need now to see him, other than telling us that the issue or that they intend to scrap 47 state corporations. Yes. You know, that's again is what I called empty rhetoric, because we know that those corporations are as a result of an act of parliament. Yes. And a mere press briefing cannot just scrap them. So we want to see him coming up with the proposed registrations seeking to scrap these 47 parastatus. That is now working. Yes. That is not talking, it is working. It is walking, it is not talking. So we need to see the president who is actually announcing that, other than saying that they are not going to have budgetary allocations to the office of the spouses of the president and the deputy president, we need to see that these offices are not there. We also need to see that in terms of it's called eating in the
yes, the corruption aspect.
No, yes. the hospitality aspect of it.
Yes, so spending money on,
you see, we need to see
cutting back of expenditure on those frivolous expenses.
And they tell us how much they have cut from that specific allocations. Yes. The issue of I had someone ask, why do we give the president and the deputy president house allowance? And we are accommodating them. Yes. They are living in yes. So we need to see.
And how many other senior state officers enjoy this?
Exactly. Yes. Plus now the MPs. How do we give an MP a sitting allowance and we have sent him to Bunge? Yes. So we need to see tangible moves, tangible actions from the state and even the parliament, so as to the president can be seen that he is actually walking the talk.
Yes. Let's turn to the things that the president now then proactively needs to do to jumpstart this economy, because it's doing badly. And here I want to talk about pending bills. Yes. The fact that because the country has been in a position where it cannot afford a lot of things. They stopped paying counties, sending money to counties, which stopped paying bills. They stopped paying suppliers. Yes. That's hurting a lot of the economy, including companies like the Standard Group. How would then they prioritize cash that should then go towards settling these bills?
They should understand that people who work in the Standard or people who work in those counties are also Kenyans. And when they do not remit or release the funds to those specific institutions, they are hurting Kenyans. And there is an aspect that goes, if there is a 1,000 in a certain shopping center, it means saturation. So when they do not now release the funds,
figure out ways to enable circulation.
Yes, it means they are stopping circulation of money. And that means that children will not go to school,
Yes.
They will not afford the medical care. And even the issue of releasing of the NHIF.
Yes.
You see, we see the NHIF failing to release those monies to counties. These are some of the aspects that the government should prioritize,
Yes.
so that Kenyans can see that surely they are feeling their government.
Okay, indeed, and of course, on the closing note, to remember that when it comes to things like opposition and that sort of thing, not having an able opposition then means having to face the people themselves, because the role of checks and balances is not being played properly.
You remember, we said that the issue of broad-based government, trying to bring in the opposition now in the government, means that he is killing the sanctity of opposition.
Exactly.
Yes.
Of course, a nice note to end there, of course, to remind them about the pending bills and the shock that non-payment of that has had across the entire economy, not just here at the Standard Group, but in many other places across the country. Well, we want to bring this conversation to an end on that note here for today. Of course, we will continue this conversation even next week and into the weekend. And of course, later on in the evening, we will have a final edition of KTN Prime Business for this week. But for now, it's Kwaheri ya kuonana. My name is Peter Wakaba. Do continue to enjoy the rest of your viewing.